25 minutes before 11 o'clock. Do you know what we have a disadvantage with, Robin? We have a disadvantage with knowing what the bad writers write like, or what the unready writers write like, because we have these wonderful relationships with publicists who basically send us the cream of the crop. We don't have authors who come on the air who wouldn't ever get published, or not yet anyway, at that point of development. And so when we read the stuff we read, I guess we get spoiled by the fact that we pretty much are reading the writing of writers who are very talented and very experienced, I guess, in some way, or very groomed. I don't know how a person gets to be that level. So yesterday we had lunch with a writer. We had lunch with a writer. He happens to write screenplays, and when you read his writing, it's just as good as the writings we've read, but he has not had a film made from his writing. I don't know what's harder, to get a book published or to get a screenplay produced. But I have on the phone somebody who might know a little bit about that, because he has written some of the Star Wars books, some of the X-Files, the Dune, the Clockwork Angels. Is it Angels or Orange? Angels?
Angels, yeah. That's his new series.
Kevin J. Anderson has been with us before. He might remember once upon a time before he had his first published work. I wonder what that memory is like. He is now an award-winning New York Times best-selling author. The books I just told you about, plus so many others. And he's on the phone with us to talk to us about ways to overcome barriers to being a published professional writer through the help of the Writers of the Future workshop, which is happening, in 2 weeks or so, in Hollywood, California. And the beautiful part about this whole thing is you can go. It's not too late to set yourself up and go to this workshop and be among the folks who can actually help you have a career for yourself. If you're a writer, I think I just got your attention. Kevin J. Anderson, good morning, sir.
Well, good morning. I think I can trace back to pointing all my success to my appearance in your radio show like 20 years ago. So that must have been it. That must have been the key. So
okay, Robin. Even though that was a lie, put that in a quote somewhere, because we'll use that. We'll use that. As long as he said it, we can use it.
Yes.
Thank you for being on there. Are you in California right now?
Colorado.
Colorado.
I'm sitting here looking out at Pikes Peak and birds on my bird feeder and seeing the last little scraps of snow up there and stuff. So that's where
the last little scraps.
Well,
they got snow.
I mean, when does snow start coming back? Like next month?
That depends on what kind of year it is. But yeah, we could. But that's up at 14,000 feet. So I don't know. I'm merely sitting at 7,000 feet right now, where my house is on the top of a ridge. You guys in Florida, of course, don't know anything more than 7 feet.
Yeah, we're about. Yeah, I think our altitude is 80, is what I remember hearing somewhere. We're 80 feet above sea level. Yeah, if the seas rise like they say they're going to, we'll have to buy a snorkel and come visit you. Thank you for being on again. And so you're going to be at the workshop on what is it? A week from this weekend or something?
Yep, August 29th.
Well, it's August 29th and 30th. It's the Friday and Saturday in Hollywood. The Writers of Future contest is this big contest open to new writers, and it's been around for I think 31 years. I submitted to it when I was a new, never before published writer. And
really?
Kept submitting there, kept sending in stories, kept getting close but no cigar, getting like finalists but never making it. Because yes, you get prize money when you win it, but the big thing was that the winners get to go to this week-long, really intensive writers' workshop taught by like the legends of the field, big best-selling writers and everything. And that's what I wanted to do, was to go to this workshop. And I kept submitting because I really wanted it, and I never won, and then I got disqualified and couldn't enter anymore. But the way I got disqualified was that I sold a novel to a professional publisher and became a professional, so it's only open to new writers. So that's the best way to get disqualified, is to
I would say so.
So I, can't complain too much. But what happened though is that I became quite successful. I've written 130 books, and 54 of them have been bestsellers. And by being a successful writer, they invited me to help be one of the teachers for the workshop. So I went, goody, I get to actually attend.
So
the
you get to go to it anyway.
Yeah, so I can pay attention. Well, but this has been a legendary workshop that only the the prize winners got to attend. And this, what we're talking about today, though, is what's interesting. They finally opened it up to the public, that the public can come. It's a shorter version of it. It's 2 days only down in Hollywood. But they're David Farland, who's the New York Times bestselling author. He's kind of the coordinating guy. Orson Scott Card, the author of Ender's Game and many bestselling novels. Myself and my wife Rebecca Mesta, she's also a best-selling author. We're teaching it. There's also some up-and-coming, very active new young authors called the Winner Twins. They've got some books that they've indie published.
We heard about them. I think. Yes. Oh gosh, who was on? Was it Dave Wolverton? Was he on?
Yeah, he was on.
I think he was telling us.
Dave Wolverton is David Farland. It's that he has like a.
I always forget. I know we had it the day he was on. We had the notes that told me that, but I always forget everybody.
Yeah, it's hard.
Do you know Batman, Bruce Wayne? They're the same person.
That's right.
Right.
So what Rebecca and I we're giving a whole lecture and workshop on professionalism. That's one of the ones that we give all the time about. This isn't about how to write a poem about your dog. This is about how to manage your career as a writer, how to be serious about it, how to really pay attention to the things that we wish all writers would pay attention to. And because we live in Colorado, we'll be Skyping in. We'll be sitting there in front of the screen and talking to the class.
So let me ask you about that whole professionalism thing, because in my mind, I picture every personality possible. I picture the sloppy guy who hasn't shaved, who hasn't bathed, who's smoking a cigar, and he puts out this work that everybody loves. And I also picture the prim and proper, exact opposite of that, who also does wonderful work. Does any of that make any difference at all with professionalism?
Well, it doesn't make any difference at all with your writing quality, but this is what dirty secret. Writing quality is not enough. You also have to be sure that you understand your contracts, you understand copyright law, you understand networking, marketing, and professional social media. And if you are trying to meet with an editor, or meet with an agent, or talk to a publisher, or appear at a writers' conference where you're trying to get people to respect you as a writer, you probably don't want to show up in your sweaty exercise shorts and you're unshaven and not brushing your teeth and stuff. And that is actually one of the things that we talk about, because there are some aspiring writers that frankly could maybe use a makeover before they appear in public. And by makeover, I just mean, bathe and put on clean clothes.
So do you have any writers who are really part of a team? I'm just use the male, female. Let's say the lady's the writer. Well, no, let me make the male the writer, because I don't want to seem sexist. So the male is the writer. Oh, that seems sexist too, doesn't it? No matter how I look at it, I can't be politically right here. But anyway, so the guy's the writer. He's got no clue about copyrights. He's just not very kempt. But she's in charge. She's in control. She understands intellectual property rights and all that stuff. Can they work as a team where he doesn't quite get it, but she does, and therefore it works for the profession?
I think you just described my marriage. Well, really, when my wife and I have been together for 25 years now, and when she first met me, I'd published like one novel and was working on the next one, and she wanted to be a writer, and I was at the time. I had appeared at this big science fiction awards ceremony, the Nebula Awards, which is a big, it's the Academy Awards, big glitzy tuxes and all that kind of stuff. I had no clue. I thought I was going to a science fiction thing, so I wore my old Star Wars C-3PO T-shirt and jeans and showed up and kind of was a little bit underdressed.
Oh,
but
no.
she almost took me as like this Pygmalion project that like My Fair Lady. Only she gave me a makeover. She said, "Look, if you're going to be a professional writer, you need to have a professional appearance. You need, you're not just a fanboy anymore. You're a professional writer."
There you go. That was good advice.
So she dresses me. She is, she doesn't actually physically
Kevin
dress me,
but
Kevin Anderson.
I don't show up in the old Star Wars. Well, that Star Wars T-shirt I'm sure wouldn't fit anymore. But.
Got a little weather break, and we'll be right back with Kevin Anderson.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accidents. Sunshine followed by increasing clouds today. The shower and thunderstorm in some areas this morning, then a couple of showers and thunderstorms this afternoon, some with flooding downpours. The high today, 87 to 91. A shower and thunderstorm around early tonight, then partly cloudy later tonight, though 72 to 76. For tomorrow, partly sunny with a couple of afternoon thunderstorms, the high 87 to 91. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Hi, I'm Seth with AA Lock, Dock, and Security. Have you ever thought about the locks or security on your house or business? Have you ever wondered why the keys to your new car cost so much? Well, at AA Lock, Dock, and Security, we can help with securing your valuables. We can even replace those expensive transponder keys. We can give you the knowledge that no one else will. Call AA Lock, Dock, and Security at 867-1965. That's 867-1965.
If you're anything like I was, the thought of getting older was the last thing on your mind. But here we are. For me, it started slowly. The lack of energy, never being in the mood. And when I was, I could never perform at my best. I tried the pills and other treatments with minimal results, and all but given up on my sex life. Then I found the doctors at New Male Medical Center. Wow, they made a new male out of me. Feel like I'm 25 again. I have renewed vigor, so much more energy, and no longer worry about my performance. New Male treated me like my situation was one of a kind, with a custom treatment plan that really works. I feel great. They can create one for you too. It does not matter if you suffer from low testosterone, erectile dysfunction, or just want to last longer. New Male will help you.
Call New Male Medical Center today at 352-404-4779. 352-404-4779. That's 352-404-4779. It will change your life. 352-404-4779.
Don Nottingham of the Miami Dolphins here, proud to be this year's chairman of the Special Olympics Champions for Champions event. Come join players from the world of professional sports, sharing their stories with a great dinner on Friday, September 18th, and/or play at Candler Hills Golf Club on Saturday, September 19th. Either way, you'll be helping the Special Olympics of Marion County Champions for Champions. Call 988-7998 for details. That's 988-7998. Please help our Special Olympians.
All right, 12 minutes before 11 o'clock, 83 degrees, and looks beautiful out there right now. On the phone, Kevin J. Anderson. He's an award-winning author and many great novels to his credit: Star Wars, X-Files, Dune, Clockwork Angels. He's the publisher of Word Fire Press, is that right? And he's on the phone to talk to us specifically about an event that you can go to because he is going to be there, and he's conducting a workshop with his wife, Rebecca, I think he said, right? Did I say her name right? Oh, there it is. Yes, I did. The Writers of the Future workshop is August 29th and 30th in Hollywood, California. Don't think 3,000 miles is a hard task anymore, because we do have airplanes. Kevin, can I tell you something we did yesterday? We went to lunch.
Yes, we
did. We went to lunch. I mentioned this in the intro earlier. We went to lunch with a guy who's a screenplay writer, but he hasn't had any produced yet. And he was saying something about using contests as a way to get to break into the market. And he said, but I'm skeptical about them because they charge, what did he say, $55 a piece.
Yes.
He said he did the math and how many people enter these contests, and the contest organizers literally walk away with $1 million.
Yeah.
And so he doesn't know if it's really worthwhile. And I said, well, I happen to know of a contest that costs nothing to enter, and you can even go to one of the workshops next week, because we knew that this was coming. Robin and I were doing Today's Show yesterday, preparing for it. So we were able to tell him about this now. But there's no screenplay category, correct?
No, it's just for short fiction and science fiction, fantasy, horror, and it's a very good contest. It's designed basically by writers and publishers that you don't have to pay to enter, and it's only open to people who have not been professionally published. It's called writersofthefuture.com. It's not too hard to remember if you want to look it up, and they've got their rules and stuff in it.
Are they always young?
I'm sorry?
I didn't mean to interrupt you, but are they always young? Writers of the Future implies that they're maybe high school or college age. Could it be a 60-year-old writer of the future?
Oh, we've had them already, yes.
Oh, you have?
Some people don't even start writing until maybe they've retired from their regular job. I mean, but what happens is they submit their stories, and there's no name on it. There's no address. So when I'm a judge and I read the stories, I just read the story. I have no clue if it's a male or a female who wrote it, if it's a kid, or if it's a 60-year-old. It's just judged strictly on merit. And then if they win it, then they get to come to this workshop. I mean, they get to come to the extensive workshop. But the one that we're talking about is August 29th and 30th. Sorry, and that one is open to the public. So it's almost like the best of, or the highlights of this week-long intensive workshop, but it's some really good stuff. Because when I was an aspiring writer, you could always find lots of places that would give workshops on how to create characters or how to set a scene, and the craft part of it. That's not hard to find, but having a workshop that's taught by real professionals who are making their living at writing, not like somebody who published a poem once and gets another job.
Right.
These are real professional writers making their living at writing, teaching other writers about how to build their career. And it's, I guess we should say, galaxypress.com is where you can find all of the information on the workshop. But it's something that I've been teaching the private workshop for probably 15 or 20 years now. And this is one of the first times they've actually opened the doors so that anybody who's interested can come. You don't have to, well, anybody who's interested and can come to Hollywood can come, but as you said in the intro, get on a plane. This is something that can make a big change in your life as far as your focus on writing. And it does help you with networking, because you will meet lots of other writers who are at your level, people who have different connections, different skills, as well as interacting directly with the instructors who are also best-selling authors.
You are such a writer yourself, sir, and I'm really intrigued with your new novel, Clockwork Angels. We were told it was based on the concept album by Rush.
Yes. Well, that is one of my coolest projects that I've done. I've been friends with the drummer from Rush for 25, 26 years, Neil Peart.
Oh my gosh! I got a nephew who just probably fell over when he heard that.
Well, we've known each other for a long time, and when Rush was developing their, it's like a storyline behind the album, the way like Pink Floyd's The Wall or Tommy from The Who.
Right.
It has a story through it, and so we worked out the actual story, and I wrote the novel part of it, which was published a couple of years ago. It became a New York Times bestseller. As far as I know, it's the only major rock album that's ever been turned into a novel, and then we did it into a graphic novel. And Neil and I have a sequel that comes out in about 3 weeks called Clockwork Lives, which we just love it. It's a steampunk fantasy adventure, and the songs on the album, and if you're Rush fans, of course, you've already heard it, and if you're Rush fans and didn't know it was out, it came out 2 years ago, so go buy one right now. We just finished, we watched their final concert in their tour. It's their 40th anniversary tour that was just in L.A. last weekend. I've loved Rush. They've always inspired me, and I'm glad to be working with them. But Clockwork Angels is a great epic fantasy adventure with pirates and lost cities and airships and the watchmaker who kind of runs the whole country, and then there's the anarchist who wants to blow up everything.
Oh, wow.
A guy who's caught in the middle, and there's a steampunk carnival, and there's just alchemy and gold.
I don't really know what a steampunk cool is. I'm not really sure what that is.
Okay, steampunk is kind of like the old gears and zeppelins and steam engines and like the old Jules Verne 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea and 5 Weeks in a Balloon, and it's sort of an idealized, say, 1800s where everything's kind of clean and funky, and you can put clockwork gears together to make just about anything.
Got it.
It's that flavor of stuff, and it's just really an inspirational thing, and this is one of my very best stories, and I'm very thrilled with it. I gush about it whenever I can. But if you don't like that one, I've got 129 other books that they can try to read.
So it's like a no-brainer for a filmmaker. I mean, you take the music and the story, you make that into a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Exactly.
Well, let's hope that Steven Spielberg's listening to the interview. I'm sure he
yeah, somebody like Steven Spielberg would have to do it. Yeah. Who was the guy who made the movie from Sgt. Pepper? That didn't quite work out, did it?
No.
I don't think that.
Yeah, let's not talk about that one.
You weren't involved with that, were you?
Oh no, that was when I think I was in high school. Or something.
Okay. So. Do you remember the group Klaatu out of Canada by chance? Klaatu.
Yeah, way back when I was in, I think, college or high school.
Okay.
Yeah.
I always thought that they had some kind of a rock opera theme going on, but I could never figure out what the stories were. So.
Yeah. Well, a lot of them do, and this way with the Rush album, you can read the novel and understand exactly what.
Yeah, that's a very good, cool idea. See, I even had to understand Tommy. When I remember Tommy with the Who, I remember thinking, "Gosh, there's a story here, but I got to listen to it again to figure it out." And then when the movie came out, oh, now I get it better. I wasn't sure.
So, I mean, it's just, I draw inspiration from all kinds of things, and Rush music is one of my big inspirations, but as I said earlier in the interview, I live here in Colorado. I've climbed every one of the 14,000-foot peaks here in Colorado, and
wow.
I'm out in the waterfalls and canyons and the Mesa Verde with the Indian Anasazi ruins, and I think a writer needs to be absorbing all kinds of things to get inspired and to see new experiences. And I mean, I was on the deck of an aircraft carrier, and I took a hot air balloon ride, and I was on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. And you just, the more things that you do, then that's the more things that you can relate to, and it's like you adding it to your ingredients list when you're trying to be a writer. So I advocate that you should spend time writing too, but you should also go out and just like live life and experience things, and the more interesting things you see, the more interesting things you can write about.
And if you make a little money at it, you can probably do more of those things.
Right.
And that's part of what this is all about. The contest for the Writers of the Future costs nothing to enter, and this event on the 29th, however, it does cost something. Where did I see the price? $300 something?
It's $385, but you're getting 2 full days worth with 5 New York Times best-selling authors and really teaching you the inside. So that one itself is a problem you have to solve to figure out how to get there and how to pay for it. But nobody ever said it was easy. It's like trying to join the Olympic team. Talent is one thing, but you got to be persistent, and you got to keep working at it, and you got to keep practicing, and you have to look for opportunities, and sooner or later it's going to happen.
And there is a certain amount of osmosis that happens when you get to be elbow to elbow with somebody who's already doing it. It's hard to explain, but it happens all the time. Mm-hmm. Whether it's a president, whether it's Bill Clinton meeting, John Kennedy,
right,
or Albert Einstein meeting Tesla, and Edison meeting Tesla, or any of them. Right? It's just amazing. And writers meeting writers.
I like the fact that one of your missions is to tell people not to limit themselves. I mean, you've written so many different series. I mean, you even have a humorous horror series. I mean, you don't limit yourself at all.
Well, I want to write what interests me, and publishers, way back at the beginning of my career, I think they would have been happy if I started some series and just written 100 books in the same series, but that would drive me crazy. I'd get bored with it. I write science fiction, I write fantasy, I write humorous stuff. The series you talked about has got a character named Dan Shamble, Zombie PI, and he solves cases with werewolves and ghosts and mummies, and I just have a blast writing those. And right now I have a book on the Hugo Awards ballot. That's the biggest science fiction award for the best science fiction novel of the year. That's an 800-page giant like Game of Thrones with planets. So
wow.
And Clockwork Angels is sort of a steampunk fantasy about a young man coming of age in this interesting fantasy world. So I read a lot of different things. I like to write a lot of different things. I want to challenge myself each time rather than just doing like cookie cutters and otherwise then the writing would become a job, and I don't want to have a job. I just want to.
What an inspiration this interview has been and will be for people who listen to the recording of it. All right, so if you want to go to the workshop for writers out in Hollywood, California, you got to get out there and be there August 29th. It's not that much money if you think about it. $385, I think it was, for both days. And you get
2 days.
Get to meet Kevin and everybody else. Kevin, thank you so much for being on the air with us. Have fun. I wish I was going, but I won't be going.
Well, thanks. But my first interview with you guys skyrocketed my career. I can't wait to see what's going to happen now after this one.
Yay.
Thank you so much.
All right.
That was fun.
Thanks,
as always.
Bye-bye.
All right, we'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lillian Wu. The American flag just now raised over the U.S. Embassy in Havana. Secretary of State John Kerry speaking at the historic event, calling it
a day for pushing aside old barriers and exploring new possibilities.
Hundreds of Cubans among those gathered near the U.S. Embassy in Havana.
The main